Hey, Inspired Tribe. How's it going? Welcome, welcome to the Inspired Livestream. It is Monday, September 6th. I'm talking to myself here. Let me see. There you go. You probably heard the echoes. So welcome again. It is Monday, September 6th, 2021, WON. My name is Jean Nolan. This is my wonderful wife, Kristin Nolan. And we are healthy, we're wealthy, we're whole, we're free. That's the mantra of the Inspired Livestream. It's exciting that we can get together like this. Thank you for all your messages. Thank you for all your emails. Thank you for reaching out to us. We have a beautiful topic today, one that I've been looking forward to for quite a while. And while you're all jumping on here, let me welcome everyone. So good. So someone's going to have to tell me how to pronounce that. It's Jacint. If you can tell me how to pronounce, we received a beautiful email and a beautiful comment from you. Thank you so much. Miraz is here. Then Mick is here. Welcome. Lucy is here. MR Token is here. Stuart, My Biz, Get Spiritual with Illy. Tuning in from Franklin, Tennessee. Susan from Ireland. Wonderful. Jan Tango from, is it Cantango? Is it Jan Cantango? Probably from Buenos Aires. Bienvenido. Then we have Sonia is here. Peter is here. Amy is here. Danette is here. Patricia, Paula, Jenny, Christine, Sunshine Education, Michelle, Windwalker, beautiful. Tony, Stay in the Light, Violet, David, Frank. Welcome, everyone. Welcome, Spiritual Patriots everywhere. We're healthy, wealthy, whole, and free. You know that's the mantra. Inspired people, inspired tribe. Let's jump into today's topic. And before we go, this is a call for action. This is a really, really tangible call for action, and we're going to talk about the action that we're all we want to encourage you and inspire you to take. But let me first quickly jump into the two terms that are not very often brought together: spiritual and patriot. And there's a reason why these things are not being put together. So what does it mean to be spiritual? What a big and loaded term, first of all. But let's break it down to the most essential parts of what that means. The essence is to first acknowledge and know that there is a all-encompassing, all-loving, all that is creator. There is a creator, a higher consciousness that binds everything together, that created everything that we are, we see, and we cannot see. And to have a deep heart, soul connection with that creator. That's what it means to be spiritual for me. That's the basis. Now, what it really truly means to practice that every day is to live up to that beautiful connection, is to live up and live by the highest standards. And that's what we're going to talk about today in part. And then patriotism, to me, also a very loaded word that people have all kinds of opinions about. To me, patriotism means that you love your land, you love your country, you love your community, you love everything that it entails. It doesn't mean, by no means, it doesn't mean you love your government. People, that's a clean break I want to take. Being a patriot does not mean you have to love your government. As a matter of fact, if that were the definition of patriot, we wouldn't have any on the planet today, because almost nobody loves their government. But the land, the people, the community, the culture, and it also means to me that you have a deep desire to contribute to that, to serve, to bring something to it, to add to it, to make it better, to make it more beautiful. And we put the beautiful, beautiful flag right up here next to the love sign, because we love America, we love this country, and we want to be part of the spiritual patriots that make it and help make it what it can be, all the beautiful potential. And the beautiful thing about patriots all over the world is what people that kind of look down, on patriots don't understand is patriots from all different countries are really great friends. They love each other. They support each other. And that we can see with alliances, with groups and friendships across borders and continents, across cultures, across races and ethnicities. A true patriot loves his land, his country, but that in no way means that there is a hate for other people. To the contrary, it's a support for anyone who has that love in his or her heart. So that's a little bit of explanation about the two terms. But this is a call for action today, and a particular call, because and this is our view, our expression, how we feel. In our view, you have to embody those two qualities if you want to create change where you live in your community. Because if you don't have that spiritual spark within you, if you don't have that, then you don't have a moral compass. And that's exactly what we're seeing in the world today. Leaders, politicians that have no moral compass anymore, that are driven by usually three factors. That's power, money, and sex. That's usually what all of this entails. And so a call to all patriots across the planet, everywhere, in all corners of the world. If you have a deep desire for change and say it's enough, we want to create positive change. We know what I know what my community can be. I know what my people can be. I know what my nation can be. I know what we all can be. Then it's a time to step into creative and action power. And how do we do that? What do we mean by that? As a matter of fact, both the spiritual community and the patriotic community, if you can call it that, have been infiltrated heavily and have been bombarded with discouraging messages. In the spiritual community, there's a big non-action message that's been going on, something that sometimes drives us crazy, because people are being told what it really means to be spiritual is just be in your heart, live, love, and light, think positive thoughts, and don't take any action, because especially don't take any action when it comes to the political process of your country, of your town, of your village, of your city, of your community, because that's such unspiritual work. It's such, it totally messes with your energy. I can't hear that stuff. As a matter of fact, I think it's the biggest load of crap ever. And people who talk like that, I have absolutely no tolerance for that, because it is the exact opposite of what practical spirituality really is. And practical spirituality is to bring all the beautiful principles of love and kindness and kinship and friendship and creativity and a moral compass to those processes. And now, not in a week, not in a month, not in a year, now is the time for people who feel that way, who have this beautiful, all-encompassing love, to take action. And in that, I mean to enter the process of how decisions are being made, how policies are being set. And this begins on the smallest level, and this is the most powerful level. People think, well, I can't be president, or I can't be prime minister, or I can't be this. On the smallest level, and this is the most powerful, because this is the direct will of the people, is town councils, mayors, and all kinds of positions in your community. And if you think about this, how much beautiful, powerful influence we could all have if we would somewhere enter the political process as well and bring these qualities to the process. And for that, you need to first realize what you really stand for, and have a clear set of principles. And it's something we've been discussing for such a long time here. You could go through a lot of live streams and see that what is lacking, aside from a moral compass in the political process, is a big and holistic view of the world and of human beings and how they live together. We have people that are so in their box and thinking such narrow thoughts. They don't see left. They don't see left or right. They don't take in any other views. They simply see the political process almost as a business. And now it's the time for spiritual patriots to step in and begin creating from a completely different worldview. And why the spiritual part is so important is because that will give you an inner knowing of what is right and what isn't right. And as for us, the values that we believe that are missing, and we're gonna let's take America as a beautiful example. Why we love this nation, this land so much is, number one, we have a deep connection, and this is probably applicable in many ways to a lot of you, no matter where you live. Right? You might have that same feeling for South Africa. You might have that same feeling for Slovakia. You might have that same feeling for Australia. That's not the point. I can just speak from what it feels like to me is a deep love for the energy, first and foremost, for the energy of this beautiful land of what the Native Americans call Turtle Island. What a beautiful energy, so much richness and so much freedom, so much possibility, so much openness, and so much beauty, natural beauty that you can find here. The nature is just absolutely stunning and beautiful. It's what most people from outside of the United States don't realize, how much natural beauty there is. But aside from that, this culture, the way it is lived now, with all of its ups, positives and negatives, it is still a place for constant possibility for positive change. I've never felt the same uh, drive for positive change anywhere else in the world, and I've never felt the willingness and readiness anywhere else in the world in such large sections of the population, the willingness to try something new, the willingness to see maybe a better way. It's totally, if people think of the American way or people think of the American dream, that's a very commercialized view, and that has its truths. But what I really see is, if someone steps up and if someone communicates a message that is positive, that is healing, that is enriching, that helps everybody or has the intent to help everybody, here in the United States of America, people have a very open heart for that, a very open spirit for positive change. That's one of the things that we love most about this beautiful country. But right now, the process for positive change, for positive creation, is completely hijacked by people that have the exact opposite in mind. The large sections of the decision makers are driven by completely different motivators and are driven by different things that don't have your best interest at heart whatsoever. That's why we believe it's the time, as much as we see so many of these things going on, and people always ask us, what can I do? What can I do? What can I do? I'm just one man, I'm just one woman. What can I do? And here's the thing, if you really feel called to become active, which is so important, become active. First of all, maybe a good way to start is to create groups to meet with, to exchange values, to exchange a moral set of standards and what people actually desire for their community to be like in the future. One of the things that we haven't taken into account for such a long time is nature, right? And how people communicate with nature, and the possibility for people to even have a space to live in. As we always say, every being on Earth has a dedicated space to live, just because it was born. If a dolphin is born, it has a dedicated space in the ocean. If a bird is born, it has a dedicated space on a tree, in a nest first, later in the sky. Everything, all of that's taken care of. It's just humans that have been taken out of that. We have to pay just to have a space to live. And this is by no means a socialist or communist idea. The idea is that a country, a nation, has a collective wealth, and the main part of that collective wealth is the land itself, and the people should, by the most natural right, have a right to share in that. And so we believe that a wonderful way into the future is for families and people to have a piece of land where they can live on and be self-sustainable and be self-reliable if they wish to do so. So in our view of how the political process should be changed, this would be a huge part of it. How do we create a program, a system that would allow for tractions of lands of land to be reserved for families to live on, to own that land, to actually grow food on that land, and not to be not as a gift or a rental space from the government, as your own natural birthright to have a dedicated space. That would be one very important thing for us. The freedoms of principle, the principle of freedom is something that can most beautifully be observed, I think, to date in the American Constitution. We have some amazing thought processes in that document, and we believe it has never been lived the way it was intended to be. We believe to this day that the true freedom has never really been lived, because so many aspects of this have been hijacked by business interests and by industry interests right away. So the first question is, in your community where you live, look at your town, look at your village, look at your city, look at your county, whatever you feel inspired to do. What are the things you feel would benefit all of the people? What are the things you feel would need changing? What are the things you feel would be beneficial to all? Our long-term vision is, and we believe that's the only way to live true freedom, is to bring down the size of government to probably 1/10 or less of its current size, and that's worldwide. We have a complete de-freedomizing process right now by government becoming completely disproportionately big and taking over all aspects of life. And actually, the idea is to bring in wonderful people that have a broader mind, a broader spectrum, that see things in a clearer way, have a moral compass, to bring into the process positive change, and to slowly but surely bring down the size of government to a very small and essential part. Government should not manage our lives. It should manage certain aspects of our common interest. That's the true purpose for government, nothing else. It shouldn't have a say in how you live your life. It shouldn't have a say in the decisions that you make. It shouldn't dictate to you how you should heal yourself or receive treatment. It shouldn't dictate to you what you can or cannot put into your body. It shouldn't dictate those things to you. That's not the role of government. But that's a process that won't happen overnight, and it won't happen if we just stand on the sidelines and over and over again leave the political process to people that are in it as for a business. For them, it's a business. Look at the political structure in most countries. People stay in positions for as long as possible. They get out of it as much as possible, and as soon as they are out of there, they come into high-paying jobs in the corporate world that they, of course, receive because they have done favors for those corporations while they were in a political process. This way, nothing will ever change. This way, we will only go downwards in that spiral. But we can change that now. But it's an action time. It isn't enough to just envision beautiful things. It isn't enough to just meditate and pray. It isn't enough to just do that work. It requires tangible, physical, verifiable human action. Human action. What has been keeping you? What is it? Is it because people told you, oh, politics is a dirty business, you shouldn't enter that? Is it because people said, well, only crooks are in politics? Or is it because everybody's going to hate you once you enter that? Forget the word politics. Forget how the business side of it works. Think of it as new leadership. And there hasn't been a culture, a tribe that had any lasting value that didn't have leadership. But the true leadership will inspire more personal responsibility in people. True leadership will inspire more contribution by people. Imagine if you had a leader, a mayor in your city, or someone on a city or a town council who would speak from their heart, who would share a vision that you align with. Imagine what that would inspire within you, how you would actually love to participate in processes, how you would love to bring more action to it. And it's a co-creative process. We've become so disillusioned with the political process, and so because it's so corrupted that we just want to stay away from it, to not be associated with it. And if we have something to give, to say, we do it all other ways rather than stepping into that field and actually desiring to create change. Now, lone wolves have a very hard time, and that's true for almost anything. But if you do that in groups and communities, if you actually begin to strategize in that and bring beautiful groups of people together and say, well, what would happen if we entered this process, and I would be in this position, you would be in that position, and he would be in that position, and she would be there. Imagine what we could do, not as a conspiracy to take over, just to create positive change for your community. And that is the strongest potential. People forget that. People think the president, the prime minister, parliament, Congress, Senate, those are the really important positions. No, it's the grassroots. It's your community, because that brings people together. That's creates real strength. And that's the directest line that you will have. The people that live next door, if they vote you into a position, that's the directest line you will ever have. You will hear them every day. You will see them every day. You will know what their desires and needs are, and you will have the greatest influence, and they will have positive and great influence on you, which is how it should be. So many years back, almost 10 now, one of our dearest friends entered the political scene back in Austria, Frank Stronach, and he started a beautiful movement, which we just felt aligned with. And so I wrote a song for that movement, and we campaigned with Frank. And one of the things that Frank suggested was a citizens council, if you will. So people would have a voice in the process and be there for a year or two, and then it would kind of be like a jury system where people would be picked out of a pool. That's one concept. But right now, in order to bring such changes about, it requires people who are willing to step up, people who are willing to go into various positions of local, of county, of state, of federal government, wherever you are, and to realize that we need to be represented in every aspect of society. The spiritual, and in this case, the spiritual patriotic community, cannot just be an isolated thing in itself. We need to spread everywhere and bring that to everything, not as a takeover, but rather as an infusion of morals, of higher standards, of the idea that we can only truly thrive when we really come back to this level playing field, and when everyone has the opportunity to take care of themselves, to eat healthy, to drink clean water, to breathe fresh air. And we have the potential to do that. Our for whatever reason, the spiritual leaders so often discourage people from doing that. They discourage people from taking part in that process. They discourage, and they want to influence the same people that have been around forever. The current situation in the world, everywhere, no matter where you are, is a classic scenario of what Einstein would call the definition of insanity. We are looking at so many problems that the people in power positions have caused through their egotistical, corrupt actions, but people are looking to the same political leaders for solutions now. It's complete insanity. It's like trying to solve a problem with the same mindset that created it. So we need new minds, we need new hearts, we need new spirits, we need new leaders. We truly need new leaders to step into positions of small, medium, and big influence. And I'm telling you, there have been so many beautiful examples of towns and smaller communities who have adapted new systems, who have come up with new ideas. One of the things that always inspires me is, and this is always working until it's shut down. For example, a small thing, a local currency. There have been local currencies all over the world in many little towns and villages, which means that you create a currency for a certain area, and there's a benefit to using that currency versus using the government's currency. And there's an added value, which usually keeps the value in this area, which usually brings people from that area together. They do business with each other. They buy from each other. It's local. It revives the local businesses. It revives local creationship. It revives community. It's usually a complete win-win until the government steps in and shuts it down because it's so successful, and it totally rivals with the government's failing systems. Uh, the idea is go in, create the necessary changes. This is it in a nutshell, and reduce government structures to a necessary piece, to a necessary small piece. We believe that's probably 10%, maybe it's even less. What is truly necessary? And through this process, we will see that communities will become stronger again, neighborhoods will become stronger again. Friendships, kinships, families, everything will be strengthened again. And there are a few core values that we believe should be infused no matter what the background of your culture is. Now, different cultures, around the world will have different value sets, but there are some universal values that we believe all people desire no matter where they are. One of those universal values is freedom of choice, freedom of speech, of course, freedom of religion, freedom to pursue, the pursuit of happiness is a beautiful thing, that you have the right to better yourself and better your life in the way you see fit, as long as you don't harm others. There are some universal core principles. And I will not say that I believe that, any document so far has been perfect. Same applies to the American Constitution, but it's a beautiful document when you read it. The people who wrote it weren't perfect, and you can argue that until the cows come home. But there are some beautiful, beautiful things there. I believe that there was a something like a manifesto written by one of Bolivia's former presidents that's also very, very beautiful. For this nation, we believe that the best is yet to come. And one of the things that we believe, if we would incorporate it into not just a culture, but the political process, the native wisdom, the native culture, the native understanding of the Native Americans, of the people who had, lived here for many, 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 many generations in harmony with nature, understanding so much about this harmony, about how to do things the right way. And we believe that this needs to be part of the political process, part of the healing process, to encompass that wisdom, that knowledge into the American culture. I believe there's a vacuum of wisdom. There's a vacuum of longevity in the vision. That's probably what sets, the Western cultures apart from the Eastern cultures. In the East, the cultures are usually very much thinking decades and centuries ahead. Hence, the success in what they do is often very big. Whether that's good or bad intentions, it's a different thing. But we need to bring this long-term thinking, long-term envisioning into our processes, into our political processes, into our decision-making processes. We cannot, over longer periods of time, play this game anymore, where we deplete the natural resources in one area and just move over to the next. There's not much area left to do that. So it's a different kind of thinking that we need. And we believe a lot of that can be found in the native tribes and tribal cultures, not just of North America, but of probably many regions in the world, that have proven over centuries and millennia that they had a balanced life with and in harmony with nature and the Creator. So the call for action is truly look into what you could really do. It might start with being, being part of the various parental organizations in your child's school. It's also a political position, if you will, a position of influence. We need to be everywhere. Spiritual patriots all across the world need to be in all positions. Imagine if a spiritual patriot was the principal of your child's school, or was in charge of education for your city or state. Can you imagine what changes that would bring. Imagine if your city council would have a spiritual, patriotic minded group of people. And this is not something that is out of reach. The momentum is here, the potential is here, the need is here. We really need that. And rather than trying to fight the current system everywhere, and part of it is almost inevitable to stand your ground in some ways. The idea is to go in and change it. Step in and change it, grassroots style, from the ground up. We now have a top-down, pushing people down situation. We need a grassroots, from the ground up movement that has the hearts, the minds, the votes, and everything of the people, not small minorities, not special interest groups. We need grassroots everywhere, everywhere. And so if you can unite 1 million patriots or 500,000 patriots to go out and protest, that's 500,000 or 1 million patriots that are potentially in your camp for the positive, beautiful things you might want to do, change, create. We will always, always, always encourage, no matter where you are, to there's a link in the description of this video and every live stream where you can find the Ringing Cedar books by Vladimir Megre. Now, and once again, we're not associated with the author, the publisher. We have no part in anything, and we don't make any money off it. Just so you know, these are just wonderful books that will, if you read them, help you create a vision also for the political process. Part of that is in the books, how to go about it, how to make those changes. And it has been so fruitful and successful that in some of the ex-Soviet countries, of course, amongst them Russia, the ideas that and the inspiration that people receive from these books have led to changes in the laws of these countries, have actually led to positive changes where now people have, first of all, more freedom, and also a greater opportunity to create a self-sustainable lifestyle, which should be on our minds and in our hearts at all times. We can only have true freedom when we have the potential to care for ourselves, to feed ourselves, to have access to water and have access to clean air, and that not be through the government, which can turn that on or off at will. So that's part of this process that we talk about. Please check out the books, the Ringing Cedar books. In many places, the libraries are have those books. They've sold millions and millions of copies around the world, been translated into many languages. You will be absolutely inspired by the beautiful visions and see and feel and hear the truth in them. And it's what has been inspiring us. And this is it's by a Russian author, but it has nothing to do with any ism. It's nothing to do with communism or socialism or capitalism. No ism. It's just really, really good ideas. And one of the main things in America today, ideas, any for societal, political, economic idea that people call either liberal or conservative, or Democrat or Republican. That's nonsense. A good idea is a good idea. It doesn't matter if it was a Democrat or Republican or a libertarian or a Green Party member who had the idea. If it's a good idea, if it's something that benefits the people, if it's something that inspires the people, something that the people want, what does it matter? But this is what our political process has become, and we can change that. It's as simple as that. If you have millions of spiritual patriots across the world who enter small and big positions of influence, then that's going to change. That is going to change. And guess what? A spiritual patriot in the Czech Republic and a spiritual patriot in Canada, they can communicate with each other. They can be friends, as it is so often, exchange, and maybe even cooperate in some ways. But the reason why it requires your action in your community, in your village, in your town, is because no one knows it better than you. This idea that there can be organizations, politicians, governments that can govern the world from one centralized place and understand your culture, understand your background is completely ludicrous. A world government, a such globalized state of power is completely, it's never going to happen in that way, because the needs in your region, the needs for your people, the needs of your community are in many ways very different than the needs somewhere 2,000 miles away are, and the desires for that community. So we need to be active in our community first and create friendships across borders. This is not an exclusive process. It's an inclusive process, but it acknowledges that we need to become more local, not less local. We need to become more local. We need to listen to our neighbors again, listen to our family again, listen to our friends again, talk to each other, and not be afraid to show your love for your country, show your love for your land. How can loving something equal hating something else? That's stupid to think that. If someone carries hate in their heart, that hate's gonna translate into every area of their lives. It's not just gonna be, oh, I love everything, I just hate this group of people. It's not how it works. So the love for your land, country, for your community, for your people does not mean that you hate another group of people. Absolutely not. To the contrary. We have a very patriotic heart, and we love all people everywhere in the world. We want to see people thrive, be healthy, be wealthy, be whole and free everywhere in the world. But guess what? My greatest influence that I can have is right here where I live. It's right here. That's where I can have the greatest, most positive influence. That's where I get in touch with people. That's where I can speak with them. That's where I can listen to them. This is the place for you where you are. Is it Hungary where you are? Is it Spain where you are? Is it Mexico where you are? Is it India where you are? It doesn't matter where you are. That's your place of influence. And if that's what you love, if that's what you know, where your heart beats, begin today. Look what would be conducive to your spirit. What kind of action would help that? Start in one small way, but begin. We need all spiritual patriots worldwide to step up to the plate right now, because that's going to change things. If a city, if a small town, a small village stands together and is absolutely convicted in what it stands for, it cannot be pushed around by any other power from outside. It cannot be mandated to do something if the community comes together for something. And so we have seen this this tyrannical, fascism that's everywhere now. It's a top-down thing, and we don't need to fight that, in the ways people think that you need to. You don't need to go out and start some violent revolution. Begin by positive, concrete, practical change where you live. And I'm betting, if you step up to the plate, if you build a group of people around you that feel similar, that have a moral compass, that have great visions and ideas, a lot of people, this is the time, a lot of people will jump on board. They want that. They're looking for that. People cannot go any longer with the same old same. It's always the same. It's always the same. We've seen this now over this past year. This was the best example. If politicians had our best interest at heart, if health was the first and foremost worry, wouldn't they go on TV and radio and internet in all ways and say, work out, eat healthier, drink clean water, we're going to provide vitamins, we're going to do all these things, healing, spiritual healing, emotional healing, physical healing? None of that, right? It's not about that. To them, it's not about that. This is now abundantly clear. So if you're looking for a way to change something, then be the change that you want to see in the world. Beautiful words. Mahatma Gandhi, right? He did that. He was a spiritual patriot. He was a wonderful spiritual patriot. He was even beyond patriotic. He went to South Africa and actually created wonderful changes in South Africa as an Indian, where he was treated horribly at that time, but he empowered the workers there, the Indian workers, the black workers. He created beautiful movements beyond his own country. That's what I mean by a true spiritual patriot. That's it. And then he went back to India, of course, and did that. And so take some of that spirit, soak it in, make it some of your own. So, Inspired Tribe, this is a call for action for all spiritual patriots around the world. Use our platform. Use the Inspired Tribe chat room on Telegram. Use all the possibilities that are here to connect with each other, to exchange ideas, to exchange visions, come up with plans, jump on video calls, meet in person, speak on landline, use a radio, whatever you want to do. Be pen pals, but connect, exchange, take action. It's time for inspired action. It's what we will continue to do. We will do every day. We have great love for all of you, wherever you are. We honor you. We appreciate you. You are amazing. And we believe you are the leaders of the future, the near future, the very, very near future. We need leaders like you everywhere now. So it's time to go. Action time. Inspired Tribe, thank you for your time. Thank you for being with us. I want to leave you with exactly the message that we had here. Go out, feel your way through it, take a walk, soak it all in, see what comes up, exchange ideas, connect. We will be here again tomorrow at 2 p.m. Central, right here on Inspired Channel. And we love you all, Spiritual Patriots worldwide. We love you all. And we see a beautiful future because we're the ones who created, not just in our minds, not just in meditation. That's so important. You know how much emphasis we put on that. But now take those ideas and bring them into the physical, tangible form. Last but not least, please remember, check out the Ringing Cedar books in the description. No matter where you are in the world, applicable everywhere. Beautiful wisdom. We love you. We'll see you tomorrow, 2 p.m. Central.